Hey everybody, Gears here, and the specific bit of mess on the table that we're looking at today is the leg, and that means a whole lot of things. More specifically, putting the foot on the leg at last. And right now it's just pinned in real loosely, and don't mean that just figuratively. You can see I've got a single washer in on that side, and clearly I'm going to need another on that one because that's way too much slop. Not a problem there. I figured this is just pinned in. That's easily pulled out right there. But in taking all these pieces, so this shell goes on the outside of this here. Battery box gets attached there. The hoses coming off of this go in here. At which point I can start to put the drive shell, which is that bit of metal there, along with these wheels into place. And it's definitely a bit of a process, and if you do one too early, you got to take it all apart again. So in trying to trace back all the steps I need to take, I thought, I finally found step one, only to realize no. Step one is actually going to be running these wires up the leg. At the time I did this, I thought I was being pretty clever and running a rope through here so I could just tie it off and pull things through. The downside to that idea is that this is too thick, and I should have thought of that before I did all this soldering, because now I'd have to take all this apart to sneak this through. Or if I wanted to use the other end, which is way somewhere here, you can probably see the problem with that. This is not fitting through. However, yeah, anyhow. So I would have to take all this out. That's no good. The other thing is, even though there's 6 wires here, there's still 3 more. And those are 14 gauge. This happens to be 14 gauge, and it has a clip connector up there at the top. So that's nice that this is already run, though I would have to run a single strand to cover one more of these colors. And I do not want to mess those colors up, that is for sure, at the far end, because that would be devastating. So there's a little mental hopscotch there to think about. Or my original idea was to put a battery and the controller inside of this box here so that everything would be localized. Essentially, I could take the battery out, the controller would be right there, so there'd be the shortest distance for all the control wires and such. The battery definitely cannot go into this thing because I would have to pull the battery box off to change the battery out. And this particular design, I could make one, fabricate one that will do what I want it to do, but I cannot jury-rig this into place. Because for this to go on, that has to go on before the feet go in, or the wheels rather, and it's a whole process. However, the battery, the motor controller could go in here. If I ever had a problem with it, I wouldn't have easy access because, again, you got to take the wheels out of the frame, or at least loosen them up, then pull the frame out. Then you get this, at which point you can pull this off, and it's a process. Never mind dealing with the fact that you have to pull the leg off potentially, or set R2 onto a table of some kind when he's in 3-legged mode, so there's all sorts of issues with that. So likely, I'm just going to run all the power cables up and keep it simple. Another idea I'd been toying with was simply putting clips here at the base, there at the shoulders, make everything nice and modular like that. Talking with one of the guys, he was like, well, yeah, I did that on one droid, and the problem was that once one clip comes loose, you can't tell where it is. So your droid suddenly stops. What happened? First rule of thumb, always check your cables. So if you got a clip here, you got a clip there, you got other clips elsewhere, it becomes a process to try and track things down, especially when you have to do the other leg as well, potentially. So it looks like putting all that in the body, even though it's a lot of additional wiring and additional snaking that I now have to do going up to there. That's probably going to be the best bet. I may just test the controller board in here, in which case I'll do that in another video. I know the battery won't fit, or at least a 6 amp hour battery that I would want to put in there as a minimum. A 3 amp battery would fit, however, that's, or a 3 amp hour battery would fit, however, that's not a lot of power for very long, even though these motors really sip the juice down. And for those who don't know, this is the actual motor inside the wheel. It's called a Q85. They were only like $90 each 10 years ago, but the shipping on them over from China was also $90, so $180 per wheel essentially. However, the benefit to them is that they've got precision control, they drive dead straight, and they sip the juice. Unlike the standard motors that are used, they're called MPC 2022s, I think is the common one. Those are definitely old tech and drink quite ably at the power. What else? This is going to take two hands, but I want to show you this assembly inside here. That's a little trick no one's done yet. Give me a second. There we go. So that's an unfortunate little chip there, but it was probably weak to begin with. So inside of there, that outer ring is a bearing. It's cylindrical, and if I hadn't put this brass sleeving in there, I'd be able to show you. So I'll have to wait for the other leg on that case, I guess. Two sleeves of brass. It's not like this is going to rotate all severely, but every time the foot goes over a sidewalk ridge, a door lip, or anything like that, there's always going to be little bits of back and forth, but there won't be anything like really major, at least not under load. Certainly when moving him around, his feet may get loose. But there's always going to be that little vibration. And I figured if it was just a bolt going through, that wasn't so great. But then I found these bearings here. It's two sets of rods, essentially. However many rods going around, one set and then another set. And I don't think... Oh, yeah, I can show you on the other. Let's take a look. So that's probably about the best I'm going to be able to get it, is right in there. Oh, yeah, there we go. So... there's always going to be that little bit of edge going on, just like that. But there won't be any major swings. So I'm figuring those barrels in there must take pressure off of, and you can even see them rotate there, nice. So having this outer sleeve contacting that, and then an inner sleeve contacting, where is it? There we go, the bolt. My figuring is that that should reduce the stress, or at least contain it, I'm hoping. We'll see how it works in practice. I don't know that anybody else has ever done this. So yeah, now I think that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. See ya.